Recording in progress. I'm gonna. Hi. This is gonna work. I'm gonna share my screen with you now. We're gonna get on. Gonna start from the beginning. Bear with us. Sorry, I'm at the end of my prezzo rather than the start. It's not going well, is it? Is it letting me go backwards? All right. So welcome this week's Coach's Corner. Can I hide this? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it, to be honest. But diet breaks and why they are important is this week's topic. Okay, we'll get into that. Starting point, I do apologize for the weird change in the punctuation there. But you can't always be on a diet, all right? You're probably watching this because you're someone that's maybe at the moment or in the recent past has been in a calorie deficit, okay? Working on dropping some body fat, working on yourself, getting in shape and things. Fantastic. Hopefully it's going well. Hopefully you're doing it in an effective manner. But you can't always be on a diet, right? There's got to be times where you've got to operate in a different way, give your body what it needs, stabilize, maintain, or maybe push on in a different direction. Something to remember. When you're in this period of a calorie deficit, you're giving your body less energy than it wants. Okay, if we think of energy balance, you've got maintenance in the middle, where what you consume meets what you use, and everything kind of stays where it is. Your composition stays relatively the same. Your weight and things stay the same. Your performance is decent. It's maintained. We've got on the other way, we've got a calorie surplus where you consume more than you use, usually to try and gain muscle, sometimes to gain a bit of body fat as well, depending on where you're at. And on the other side, of course, which is probably more prevalent to this audience, is when you're in a calorie deficit, you're giving your body less energy. All right. You are consuming less than your body uses. Therefore, you're starting to drop some body fat. Okay, win-win. But we can't do this. If you do this over a sustained period, a really long time, or if you do it in a really aggressive manner, it's going to start to take its toll physically and mentally. Maybe you can allude to some of these in terms of low energy, being irritable, the impact it has on sleep, and then the subsequent knock-on effect it'll have on your kind of food choices and your behaviors, impact on your training performance, impact on your relationships. Sometimes it'll give you a desire to overeat or binge, and then there's negative connotations around that. Okay. So the last thing that we need when we're in a period of calorie deficit, when we're wanting to get a result, is the last thing we need is our adherence to slip due to these factors. Okay. What we also don't want to do is hate the process of what we're doing. All right. This will shape our long-term thinking, right? You think, right, oh, that was horrible. Dieting's awful. I'm not doing that. Or, yeah, I've done it before, but it was a terrible experience. Or now I've got really negative relationship with food. These are all the things that we want to avoid. All right. So this is why a diet break is important. So diet break, in essence, is a short period of around 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the length of your calorie deficit, where you eat at maintenance calories. So you've been in a period of eating a certain amount of calories, which is in a deficit. Now you're going to eat more, but around your maintenance level so that it doesn't have any knock-on effect on your progress. But what it does is it gives your body exactly what it needs to operate for a period of time whilst maintaining your composition and whilst maintaining your performance. All right. And you could look at it as a period of physical and mental recovery from dieting, and it can help decrease those potential negative adaptations that you might get. And if you're going to return to your calorie deficit, which this alludes to because it's a diet break, it might give you a bit of motivation, a bit of rejuvenation as well, feeling good to go for the second half, if you like. So how this works, very common struggle people have after a successful calorie deficit is retaining those results. You see a lot of it where we don't really have an issue with people being able to drop body fat, but their ability to maintain it is not there, right? So this actually is good practice, if you like, for the end of your calorie deficit and how you should operate in the first few weeks post diet. All right. People all the time, they're completely rebounding, they're going around on the hamster wheel, find themselves right back where they started. They just never seem to get a long-term result because of how they respond after their diet finishes. All right, so this diet break approach is going to lend itself to what we should do at the end of your diet as well. Okay, and I'll give you some insight and some preparedness so that when this period of calorie deficit ends, you're much more well equipped than other people to succeed and maintain your results. In order to set it up effectively, really, if you're working with a coach, then they should be doing this for you. Okay. Um, Feel free to obviously speak to anyone that you like to take advice from. Um, Really, they'll take your current body weight and activity levels to kind of adjust your calories now. So for people that work with me, a working example would be I've got an active female. She kind of hits between 6 and 10,000 steps a day. She's currently 80 kilos. The deficit is 2,000 calories. I would probably approximate maintenance calories between 2,400 to 2,600 calories per day. So she's going to make that increase per day for the length of her diet break. All right. What she's not going to do is she's not going to go backwards in her progress. She's going to maintain her current levels, but she's going to feel good energy. She's going to feel perform. She's going to perform well, and she's going to feel ready for the second half as well. Okay. But if you're someone that's not working with a coach, if you've kind of set up your own calories, or maybe you don't track at all right, you want to make an increase of around 25 to 30% of your current food intake. All right. And see how that goes. Continue to measure, continue to track your progress, and make sure that you're on the right lines. So remember, this is a diet break, not a diet blowout. Now, this is very important. This does not give you an excuse or a reason to go completely crazy. All right. So some quick do's and don'ts. It's important to continue to prioritize nutrient dense quality food. You should have been doing that in your calorie deficit anyway because you get more bang for your buck, you get your health benefits and everything like that. So this needs to continue. But if you see at the bottom here, do allow yourself the opportunity to enjoy maybe an extra treat or two as well and just get that feel good around what you're eating. Continue to hit your protein target. That remains important no matter what. What you don't need to do is make any changes and go up. All right. If you're nailing your protein target because obviously you're in your diet, you know it helps with you feeling full. You know it helps with its thermic effect. You know it's helping with your training and your muscle development and that lean look. Just continue to hit your target. Don't drop it, but you don't need to increase it. That protein target is for you regardless. So what you would consider really for me is prioritizing carbohydrates, okay? Just for its energy availability and it's used to you straight away for fueling. And if you're someone that's training as well, it's going to serve you really good in the gym. Okay. If you are training, something to consider if you're training regularly, I would look at maybe lining up your diet break with a bit of a deload week as well, give your body that rest as well. But that's a side note. All right. So continue to track. Please don't rely on guesswork. All right, it defeats the point. You've done so well in like tracking your nutrition so far. If you're putting an increase in calories, you need to understand your numbers. So you're still going to need to track. Okay. This is not an opportunity to binge, as I mentioned before. All right, it's an increase, but you need to be strategic around it. Okay, if you go way over, you're just going to go backwards. Please do not throw accuracy out the window. Don't just eyeball the additional calories. Make sure you understand the numbers. Okay, it's really important. Don't overdo it on low quality processed foods. Yes, I mentioned before, allowing yourself the opportunity to enjoy a treat. But even in this increase of calories, please prioritize the vast majority of it as good food. Maybe you're just increasing your portion sizes. That's always a good place to start, isn't it? Or you're throwing in an extra snack around your training or an extra snack in the afternoon or in the evening. But try not to make it low quality as best as you can. And the bottom one's really important for your mindset. You're in a period of a calorie deficit. You're seeing your results go really well. Please do not lose your mind if the scales show an increase. When we're focusing on fat loss, we don't just focus on the scales at all. It's not a priority. Okay, your measurements, your progress photos, how you're feeling, everything like that is much more important. All right. But if you are someone that's weighing yourself regularly, don't be alarmed if you see those scales go up. Increased volume of food, increased intake in your body, carries more water. Therefore, you're likely at times to weigh more when you step on the scales. That does not mean that you put on any body fat. If you're doing this properly, you're not going to go backwards. You're going to maintain where you are. So Quick one today, but just to close off, okay? Like everything, this isn't a magic technique. It's a strategic approach and it's aimed at helping your adherence, keeping it high, keeping your motivation high against the rigors of an effective calorie deficit. You really shouldn't be changing much, okay? Look at your current structure now and base all your calorie increases on that, okay? Extra portion sizes. Where can you feed in snacks? Where can you bring a food item into a meal that you've been leaving out? Maybe some more higher fat foods that you've been leaving out. Remember that you will be returning to a deficit, and the transition from A to B back to A should be seamless as possible. So if you do this properly, you will not go backwards. You won't slow your rate of progress. You will benefit physically and mentally, ready for the second half of your diet. Okay. Take this into the end of your diet as well, whenever that comes. Okay. Speak to me, give me a message, any questions, of course. The approach is always long-term thinking. This is what we're doing it. We're not just going to bang you in a deficit. Any good coach should just put you in a deficit for the foreseeable. Okay. It's just, you can't always be on a diet. Long-term thinking here, preparing you for when you're not on a diet, how you can eat and maintain the brilliant results that I'm sure you get. If you have any questions, as ever, please give me a shout about any of the content. Short and sweet today, but hopefully very valuable for you and something to consider if you haven't used this tactic before. But yeah, please reach out with any questions. I'm going to stop sharing. Peace out.